everyone. Welcome to LOCKBEARD Phenomena number 106, National Batman Day. It is September 16th, 2023. We're still not on YouTube, so hopefully people filter in over at Rumble and check it out. So every day is a holiday of some kind. Today is National Batman Day. And Batman is more likely to be real than all these, most of these cryptids that people come up with. They dream up a bunch of nonsense, and it just can't be real. The Dog Man is one of the funny ones. There is no fossil record indicating any kind of creature that's starting to develop into what Dogman is described as being. It appears that Dogman is just basically werewolf fantasies. And that's it. People watch werewolf movies and they want it to be real so bad. They think it's so cool for whatever reason, and they allow it to interfere with their perception. Or maybe some of them just make up the stories. Just make up the stories because there are a lot of people involved with all the cryptids who are liars. They're just flat out lying. And this is a division that must exist, and it will always exist in the whole Bigfoot cryptids realm. It must exist because you got people that are perfectly fine with lying and bullshit. Those channels that kick you off, that ban you, those Facebook groups or YouTube channels, whatever it is, when they ban you for saying, hey, this looks like nonsense to me, they're basically admitting that they're liars. The people who ban you are liars. They're backing up liars, or they're liars themselves. So they can bitch about me saying that all they want. I don't care. When you lie, and that's all there is to it. So stop banning people. Stop silencing people for trying to be a rational person in the room and just calling out bullshit when they see it. There's just so much bullshit. And the Dogman is a huge load of bullshit. Let me check Rumble here, see if nobody's chatting yet on Rumble. It says we got 3 watching. Welcome to the show, y'all. So let me back up. So National Batman Day. This is what they got for it. Batman Day is a global celebration, apparently. Picture the most timeless superhero ever. We're sure you're picturing Batman and Batman only. Of course, we're all aware of his epic look, his classic partner Robin, and his ever-popular Batmobile. Because of this, every year on the 3rd Saturday in September, which falls on September 16th this year, we celebrate Batman and the ageless storytelling of his life through comic books and movies. Citizens of Gotham and of the world honor Batman's legacy on this fun-filled day that celebrates a pop culture icon This day is celebrated across the globe due to Batman's popularity in TV, film, and comics. For 80 years, Batman has gained much popularity as a character who reflects justice for fans all over the world. This Batman Day, let's celebrate by practicing our own superhero qualities within. Yeah, okay. And the best Batman film, it will always be Michael Keaton's Batman. So, boom. I see Uncle Bones is in the chat, and so is Chessboard. Welcome. Welcome to the chat. Let me see if I can bring it up. Yeah. So what's going on besides the Dogman bullshit? Everybody. Sometimes there are difficult times in the Bigfoot community. And so we've been told that Joe over at Hominin X Inquiry, used to be Western New York Bigfoot Investigation Group. We've been told that he has a very bad cancer diagnosis and that he doesn't have much time to live. So for those, some people have not heard yet, so maybe there's a few that this is getting to now. You guys have heard me talk quite a bit about curing stuff like this on the channel, so I have to comment on this. Yes, I did try to broach this subject with him, and he has rejected it. So I don't know what else I can do. Anyone that doubts anything I'm telling you, I assure you, a lot of thought and research has gone into everything. And if you will take the time to do the proper research, you will see. You will see. Every so often, I've seen this happen, where people trust the doctors. They go to the hospital. Occasionally, the doctors successfully cure. Well, cure is a strong word. What happens is these medieval scumbags, I'm sorry, doctors, I can't be nice to you about this, because all you do is you cut on people or you poison them. To more accurately describe what they do with cancer is They use radiation and chemo, both of which are cancer-causing. They use these to poison you and your cancer and hope the cancer dies first. Okay. And a lot of times people get a secondary cancer and so on and so forth. Every day, tons and tons of cancer cells form in your body. What the hell happens to them? Your system has mechanisms for dealing with that shit. So, we could do a deep dive on what cancer actually is. Like, a lot of people, all they know, well, it's mutant cells. Okay, great, blah, blah, blah. It's a little more to it than that. But the fact is cancer is going to happen. Your body has systems for dealing with cancer, and the reason why cancer gets out of control all the time in humans is because we're stuffing our faces all the time. That's part of it. Humans aren't meant to eat every day. That's a goddamn fact. So just recognize, okay? You take cactus, you give it too much water, it'll fucking die. Why? Because a cactus is not designed to have that much water. Water, you think, oh, water's good, right? Water is good. They told people to drink tons of this water all the time, right? By the way, it's the only thing that's ever in this cup. You drink when you're thirsty. You don't try to cram however amount of water people tell you down your throat every day. That's ridiculously stupid. Would a human in the wild do that? Would they get in their head, man, I need to drink a whole, gallon of water every day. I need to force it down. No, they drink when they're fucking thirsty. Okay? Every animal drinks when it's thirsty. Every plant has to drink when the damn rain falls. So plants only live in places that have the rainfall that's appropriate for the particular species. So cactuses live in a desert. You don't overwater cactus. This concept applies to food. If you're not supposed to eat every day, when you feed yourself every day and then you're dealing with a defective cell like cancer with the qualities that cancer has, what you end up doing is having cancer go crazy sometimes on you because you're feeding it. And if you're overweight, even in the slightest, you don't need to eat at all today or tomorrow or the next day. If you were like an average American, you got months or possibly years of food stored on your body because you've been eating like a freaking retard your whole life. Eat all the time, 3 times a day, shovel it down. And your body's been storing all this food as fat. That's what it's there for. It's there to feed you when you don't have food. So if you're overweight, you do not need any food for a long damn time. It depends on how much you got on you, but so what you need to do, and there's definitely a correlation. People that get cancer are more often are overweight because of there's some relationships there. But all you have to do is starve it out. Really, I mean, sometimes they're really aggressive cancers, and you got to do a little more. But for the most part, all you got to do is starve them out. Starve them out. You got plenty of food stored on your body, so that means you stop eating. You stop eating now. And that's pretty much all you really need to know for most situations. You should, I would say, if you really want to give it a 1-2 punch, you need to take liposomal vitamin C and lots of it. Or if you can't get that because it's expensive as shit, or you can't make it like I can in the back of the fucking van here, you just go research how to do that. Then just pop the damn vitamin C tablets as much as you know. Space it out evenly because your body can only absorb so much orally, but at least get that. If you haven't got a doctor who doesn't have his head all the way up his fucking ass and will agree to put you on very, very, very high dose vitamin C intravenously to get it in. And there's a reason for that. It has the whole grade 8 family has that same mutation where we don't produce vitamin C endogenously, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. Go research that. But vitamin C is useful for your body in fighting all kinds of bullshit. But if you're eating, and especially if you're eating carbohydrates, your ability to absorb vitamin C orally is seriously hampered because of the similarities of the two molecules. So I've given you an extremely important piece of information. Go research yourself as much as you can to figure out that I'm telling you the goddamn truth. Most cancers, almost all of them, can be eliminated simply by fasting. Starve it out. As long as you got body fat on you, you don't have to eat. Just take water and sea salt every day. And anytime you start to get a little hungry, take some sea salt. Your body will kick in once you're, because if you don't fast every day, like a lot of us do, like a 23-hour fast, so you're only eating once a day. A lot of people don't think of that as a fast, but it's a short-term fast. And if you have never fasted longer periods, like I've gone up to 2 days, but your body gets used to coming in and out of fast, and it gets more efficient at it. It's just like working a muscle. Your body gets more efficient at coming in and out of a fasting state. And when it's in a fasting state, there's more going on than you're just starving out the cancer, right? Your body is going to start looking around it's going to start looking around for defective and dead cells and start recycling stuff way more efficiently and aggressively than it normally does because you're fasting. And it's like, okay, we got to look around the body and see what we got that we need to make use of. And as it'll see the cancer, and it already sees the cancer, but this will kind of urge it to go more aggressively after those cancer cells. It's called autophagy. Look up autophagy, A-U-T-O-F or P-H-A-G-Y. And boom. This piece of information right here could keep a person who has a cancer diagnosis from dying. When the doctors send them home to die or wants them to sit there in the hospital and wait to die. I've seen this happen multiple times in my lives where the doctors just told them, no, we can't do nothing for you. The doctors have failed. And then if you try to approach these people, very often you get out of here. I'm going to trust the doctors. Well, you trust the doctors, and the doctors just gave you a death sentence. Maybe it's time to trust someone else. Because the doctors are in business. The business has to do with suffering and death of you, and you paying them lots of money. The moment that you are no longer suffering and dying, you don't need those doctors anymore, and they can't make the money. So if you listen to me about diet and fasting and all this stuff, you won't be paying the doctors near as much money. The medical industry really doesn't want people to realize what humans actually are and how humans should actually live when it comes to eating. We made all those spear points to hunt mastodons, woolly mammoths, and 100 different other megafauna species. We weren't plowing fields. That's a very, very recent development, and it was a bad idea when they just started doing it. We didn't eat plants. There was no salad bar next to the dead mastodon. Often they were in the middle of a forest or a grassland, and there wasn't anything that was edible to a human, or very few things that would be, and they wouldn't have liked the taste of it anyway. Go to your deer plot and try eating that wild brassica. Brassicas are the cabbage, cauliflower, Brussels sprout, broccoli. All those are the same species. They're different breeds of the same species of plant. And it's a brassica, and there's brassicas in your deer plot mix. And if you eat those, you'll find they taste like crap. It's because they're poisonous to humans. You're not going to drop dead from eating it right now, but it has a toxic effect, and it's not good for you. On top of that, I saw on Joe's plate the other day broccoli. Broccoli has, I think they said, about 130 identified carcinogens in it naturally. This don't even talk about the pesticides yet. It's just what's in the plant. The plant is carcinogenic itself. Go look this up. I wish I had the links and stuff to everything, but I don't save a bunch of links everywhere. So, I just tell you the information I know. Broccoli causes cancer, and they're serving it to you at the fucking hospital. Those people have their heads all the way up their ass. They're not recognizing that food is killing people. It's not food. It's not actually food for a human anyway. We're designed to eat fatty meat, mostly fatty red meat of ruminant animals, and that's it. And everybody that switches to this diet finds the same thing. They cure almost everything that's wrong with them. They feel 10, 20, 30 years younger. Shit, in my case, it was just like I had basically, it was a type of diabetes, and it just went away. It was gone. Had autoimmune symptoms, they were gone. Had gut issues, they were gone. I had my energy went up, sleep better, hunger levels went way down because you're getting proper nutrition, fatty meat, and you're not poisoning yourself with a bunch of plants that are full of toxins. Every single one has got toxins for humans. Just like bacon's going to make a rabbit sick, plants are going to make a human sick. And it's slow, and it happens gradually over time, and you don't notice it because you don't just drop dead the first time you eat broccoli, but over your lifetime it's going to have a cumulative effect. And if you get cancer, you might have gotten it from broccoli. So there's plenty of other culprits out there. There's tons of culprits. That's why your body has a system for fighting cancer. And if you want to help your body do that more effectively, all you have to do is stop eating. You're overweight because you've been eating foods that aren't for humans, and you've been eating too often. When you eat meat, your hunger goes away because you're not being intoxicated. Your body isn't demanding resources all the time to fight those toxic effects, and you're not eating carbohydrates which specifically cause a hormonal response that tells you you're more hungry than you're supposed to be. So you end up eating too much food, and you end up eating all the time. They don't want you to know that. Because why? The food industry is making an assload of money, and then when you get sick, the medical industry makes an assload of money off of you suffering. So they don't want you to know what I'm telling you right now. So tell everybody. If you don't believe me, you owe it to yourself and everyone that you love to do your own research and figure this out. And realize that I'm not bullshitting you right now. I'm telling you the goddamn truth. This will save billions of lives. If everyone on the planet listens to me right now, this would save billions of lives. But people won't listen. I'm going to trust the doctors. Everybody's going to trust the doctors. Yeah, well, on the doctor's watch, you're all fucking dying. The doctors are good for fixing broken bones and shit like that. Cancer, they're failing. They want to poison you instead of letting your body system do what it's supposed to do and telling you what you need to do. You need to stop eating right now. Stop eating. You got body fat on you. You've been eating. your whole life and putting on all that body fat. That body fat is stored food. You there. Look up this guy. I forget his last name. His first name was Angus. He didn't do like a really true fast, but it was, it was close enough. He was still having coffee and tea, but he fasted for a year. He was extremely obese. He fasted for a year and lost his weight because his body got to fasting mode and just started using the fat. That's what it's there for. So you're all loaded up with fat, and you've been feeding the shit out of your body, and your cancer cells were popped up, and were like, hey, there's lots of resources here. We're all greedy for resources. We want to reproduce uncontrollably, and that's what happens. And then everybody acts like they're confused that cancer happened. It's not confusing at all. I just told you what happened. You just shoveled. It's like throwing sugar into a bacterial culture, and a bacteria population explodes. It's just what happens. You fed it. You fed the cancer. I'll beat this dead horse for a long time. I'll drop it tonight, I guess, unless people want to talk about it. But let me see what the chat's got going on here. Chessboard Uncle Bone saying hi. Get Elvira sent you. Chessboard says, Lockbeard, I lost my daughter at the age of 5 and 73. I live with it every day. I gotta go. Age of 5 and 73, man. I'm sorry to hear that. Fucking doctors failed, man. Donald's here. Welcome. Donald says, yes, Uncle Bones, he has been suffering with his daughter's death. Yeah. Well, I don't know the details. I don't know the details of Chessboard's situation. But what I do know is that a bunch of people are dying that don't have to die. And if I say this on YouTube, we're not on YouTube right now, but if I was to say this stuff on YouTube, they would shut down the live stream. They would delete the channel again. Even though you could go check all this information. Go check it. It's fact. It's fact. And so anyway, I hope that Satch Joe reconsiders, does his own research. He's good. He can do that. He's good at that. He's a Bigfooter. He can research into this stuff and figure it out. At least figure out enough. I mean, he's not going to gather up the years of knowledge that I have, but in the short time he's got. But hopefully he gets enough to where he understands that what I'm saying is true, and it's a chance out of this death diagnosis. The medical industry won't tell you this, because they want to keep getting their profits off of suffering cancer patients. So they're not going to tell them. If they said, well, everything we did is not working, so we gotta tell you, well, there's just one thing you can do. You could do some fasting, and that might help you. No, they won't ever say that. They'll just not even tell you and let you die, because it protects the profits. The doctor himself may not know, but I think a lot of them know damn good and well. Donald says it appears Rumble is censoring my comments. Are they? See, this is starting to piss me off. I'm hearing about this more and more. I mean, you're seeing what I see right now. So did you say something that some kind of did you say something that some kind of bot they got would trip on? And I mean, there was a curse word, or because I don't know what they got going on. And if they're censoring, if they're censoring curse words or mention certain words, I don't know. I mean, Rumble, what the hell's going on here? You'll screen capture it. Sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan. Yeah, and I saw your question about the man. If I change my phone number, then I got to tell everybody. Well, I changed my number. They're like, why'd you change your number? It's been my number for years. It'd be a tremendous pain in the ass to change a phone number just to get verified on YouTube. So I need to find another way. Imagine I could just give YouTube someone else's phone number, and then they'll get the code, and then they can give me the code, and then I can get verified. That could probably work. I was going to try the Google Voice thing, but I haven't really gotten around to looking into that very closely. I don't know, and I wonder if if they would accept it, because this is a Google account. The YouTube account is a Google account. If they want to verify you, it would seem to me that they would want to verify you with some other number other than a number that you got from the same Google account that you're trying to verify. But I don't know. I don't know. Um, so what are you gonna do? You gonna send it to my email or something, or YouTube, or not YouTube, but Facebook? Oh, I see it now. I see it now. The elite want us to die. They censored. They censored that. The elite want us to die. Hold on a second. Nobody can see that. It's still pretty small, but can I zoom in on that? Yeah. So maybe the word die, maybe the word die is banned or something. I don't know why. It's a word that could be it's such a common word, you know. Hmm. Apparently so. Did you try again? I guess I could try. Hold on a second. I don't know if that's gonna. Can you all see that? Die. I mean, hell, you could be talking about any old news headline. 5 people die in a crash or something like that. It's a common word. Why would they ban the word die? It's crazy. Rumble, what's going on? Weird. Sometimes weird shit goes on Rumble. Or was it the combination of the words? The elite want us to die. Maybe that specific sentence is a problem. Because they don't want you to know that they want you to die. Let me see here. Still there, Donald? Although they might not censor me because it's my channel, but so I don't know who all's watching was over at Squatch America the other night. There was some discussion about human lineages, which I need to put. I don't know. Sometime if I have the time. It's just these things are a lot of this stuff's time consuming stuff to do. And I got 1,000 other things I got to deal with. Than making a presentation for free. You don't see that in chat? Either one of those two messages? Is it both? Uncle Bones, is it both messages that are censored or just one of them? Because I had two separate messages. One just had the word die, and the other one said the elite want us to die. Was both of those censored? Donald says, I typed it again. Yeah, we can't see yours, Lucky. Yeah, but is it both of these or just one of these? I mean, I want to know, is it just the word die or is it the sentence that's a problem? So you could see die, but you can't see the elite want us to die. So I wonder if, try this. We'll leave the elite out of it. Can you see that on your chat? Yeah, I didn't see Donald's second try. This is crazy. So now we got to writing code when it comes to stuff like that. I mean, this is why a lot of times you'll see me use an exclamation mark in place of an I, because it's just an upside down I, right? and it seems like it can fool. It seems like it can fool the sensors. So can you see that sentence I got right there? They want us to die. You're going to try, Uncle Bones? You see yours in your chat, but you don't see it here. I don't see it here. Do you see that phrase right there that I wrote? They want us to die. No, yours, Lockbeard, did not show. So it didn't have to have the word elite in it. So saying something about wanting people to die appears to be setting off the sensors. This is bullshit, Rumble. You're not supposed to censor shit. You're dumbasses. Chessboard says back if the diagnosis is over. Yeah, we're not gonna address it. Hopefully people listen. Now we're trying to figure out what in the fuck they are censoring. Chessboard says, welcome back, Chessboard. I'll be listening if I gotta give it a buddy a ride. Chessboard says, to us die, they do Ewokies. Well, that seemed to come through. That seemed to come through. So the other night on Squatch America, he was talking about human lineages and stuff like that, and I managed to get in a few words in the chat. There's, you can only type so much in the chat about how I think that they're wrong. People. Where to start? But he finally, like at some point, he said, "What if you flip the chart over, and think of it as a waterfall?" I don't think that's necessarily the exact, because that's not going to make sense to people either. I don't think, because it doesn't matter if you go up or down with it. It doesn't matter. What matters is you show exactly where speciation occurs and if it occurred, and show where the proof, like in the case of Homo sapiens subspecies Neanderthalensis, because not a separate species like people have been misled to believe all these years. It's been proven to be the same species as us, and it got blended back into us. So what you have is normally you have that tree that they draw out showing this thing branched off of there and went over here, and this thing branched over here, and then that branch branched off, and so on and so forth. Well, that's a speciation event that's showing. And what I'm saying is there was never a speciation event in the hominid line other than the one that started the hominid line. And the reason, so what you'd have to do is make a chart similar to the speciation chart, but it's a breed It's a breed chart instead. They're never becoming a separate species. And what you'll see in that is if you draw this chart out correctly, I guess I'll just have to make it eventually. It just takes a bunch of time. Is where the human lineage was, one line, and then it diverged into two lines, but they're both still humans. They're just different races. And then those two lines came back together. That was Neanderthals breeding back in with the rest of the population of Homo sapiens. And it just, goes on straight. And then there was a development, again, another branching. Well, it's been branchings all over the place. It's not as clean cut as they make it out. Like, you were taught in school, probably, the three major races of man. And that's just exceedingly simplistic. But those three races, if we go for the purposes of this, we'll just talk about those three races. They're starting to blend back together. So you have a line, and another line diverges off, and another line diverges off into three lines, three breeds, three subspecies, maybe, three races. And now they're starting to blend back together into one line again because humans get around too much. We always have. The moment we started setting foot outside of Africa, humans were getting around too much. At first, just in the old world, but then later on, it's got to be in the new world too. And look at the lines that we had. If you've ever heard of the Solitarian hypothesis, there were a line of people that looked to be basically a type of Caucasian that came to the Americas long before the Indians appeared. And then the Indians came, and what happened? They killed a lot of them, but the old people, the Caucasian Solitarian peoples, but a lot of them got blended into the Indians. So what they call purebred, because when scientists started trying to investigate the DNA of pure blood Native Americans, they found that they weren't 100% from Asia. Because most people looked at and said, these people, they got to be descended 100% from Asia. But they weren't. They were about 25% Caucasian. So it was a 75% Asian, 25% Caucasian blending that created the Native Americans. They're supposed to be Native Americans. And then, of course, so they were their own thing over here for a little while. And then here come the Europeans and discovered, so-called discovery of the New World. But they just and what happened? They were very different peoples, but they started blending back together. So the lines split and then come back together. They split and come back together. It's this tangled vine. Humanity is. And every time these anthropologists find a skeleton that looks a little bit different, they say, "Oh my gosh, it's a new species." Yeah. Well, look, there are scientists who can look at the skeleton of a dead person that they find. Maybe it's a murder victim or something else happened. And they can tell by the morphology of the skeleton whether it was a black person or a white person, and so on and so forth. So, what would happen if blacks and whites weren't alive today and they died out long ago, and today's anthropologists found them? They would declare, "Oh, well, that's a species and that's a species." No, they're not separate species. They're both Homo sapiens. They're just different races. Get with the program. And we done proved that they made that mistake in one case, the Neanderthals, because they've been calling it Homo neanderthalensis. That's a species designation. But it wasn't a separate species. We know that for a fact now. The DNA don't lie. It was a Homo sapiens subspecies or another race or whatever you want to call it, but it was a type of Homo sapiens. And so if they made that mistake, now you got to ask yourself, well, maybe they made that mistake in all of these. And I am inclined to say yes, because the human lineage has gotten, they get around too much, because geographic isolation isn't as much of a problem for them as it is for a lot of other species. Take those bonobos, for example. You know, there's just a river dividing the two. And it works for chimpanzees because chimpanzees don't swim. They have very low body fat. That's something that humans evolved differently from chimpanzees, the genus Pan. So that worked for chimpanzees. Chimpanzees cannot build boats, and they can't swim, and there's fucking crocodiles and shit probably too. So, and they're just not smart enough to figure out some other way to get back across, to get across something as simple as a river. Humans are different. We've been smarter than chimpanzees for a very, very long time, even though our brain was way smaller than it is today. So crossing a river was not a big deal. Crossing mountains and deserts and stuff like that, we got good at being able to adapt to different places and crossing vast distances, and so what we ended up happening was that even though people might go, like in the case of the Neanderthals, some people went over into Europe and they developed their differently there for a while. Sooner or later, and eventually it did occur, that they came back into contact with other humans because other humans came there, and maybe some Neanderthals went somewhere else, but there really probably wasn't much reason for them to travel elsewhere, but there could have been. Who knows? But what we do know is that they got blended back into the rest of this human species, and that's what happened to Neanderthals. They didn't go extinct. They just got fucked. Literally. As Donald says, what do you say, Donald? What does Donald always say? I'll let him say it. So let me catch up in the chat here. Angela is here. Welcome. Salisbury is one of the few I trust in looking for the truth. Then convince him to research what I told him. I may have had a big spiel at the beginning of the live stream. He don't want to believe me. Go research yourself. Go research it himself. He doesn't have a lot of time to learn a whole lot. Like, I've learned a lot of shit. And does one just give up because the doctors tell you to, or do you do something about it? There's something he can learn, something that I mentioned that could give him a chance. So I guess he had seen Scott over at Squatch America had seen a Sasquatch himself that I'm going to try maybe I could find the picture he was showing. I'm referring to their live stream last Wednesday called Our Bigfoot People. And so he's kind of got it in his head that I'm having a hard time getting shit to load here, but he's got into his head that there's a specific species that he thinks might be what Sasquatch is. Boy, the resolution is low on this. Hold on a second. I guess it's going to be low resolution. Or maybe it'll clear up in a second. I don't know. Paranthropus boisei is what he thinks resembles the thing that he saw. And but again, I just don't know how clearly he saw it. And even though it might seem to have some morphological characteristics similar with this reconstruction in this image here, it may be a totally different line. So you can't really say for sure without DNA. And this is a big thing. People want to make all these claims about Bigfoot, and the reality is we don't have a body. So you can't really say, because even you just can't. You don't have the body. You don't have the DNA. We don't have the DNA of the Paranthropus boisei. This reconstruction here could be off. It may not be accurate. Like, to some extent, there may be some accuracy, but as he mentioned during the live stream there, the nose may not look anything like this nose here. Paranthropus may have a hooded nose just like ours. So, but you don't have that soft tissue to work off of when you're using a skull. So they had to use certain amounts of guessing here. They're just guessing, whoever made this. And also the hair. They're guessing with the hair. They don't know. I mean, Paranthropus might have had a porn star mustache and dreadlocks. You don't know that from a skull, because all that stuff is gone. So you gotta be careful trusting these reconstructions. Get the chat here. It's one of the few I trust looking for the truth. Yeah. Angela says I caught most of it. Non-human face, says Uncle Bones. What do you mean? I don't know what you're referring to. Non-human face. I don't know what you're referring to. Are you saying that? Whoops. Are you saying that Paranthropus boisei has a non-human looking face, or are you saying that Bigfoot has a non-human face? Or I'm not sure what you mean. Yeah. I mean, he did a facial reconstruction type deal on the skulls, but the problem is that if you made that nose like a human, then that changes everything, doesn't it? That nose is a big deal. You change that nose to human, and then you'll be looking at it thinking, this might be part human or some kind of human. They don't know that the nose looked like that. They guessed on that. So I don't know. It's based on the observations of one person or even just a couple of people that they thought they saw something that looked similar to this. You can't say that it's Paranthropus boisei based on that. You can say it looks like that, but it could be something else, totally different. It could be a totally different line that looks similar, but it's not this. Also. And then there's the whole deal going back to what I was saying a while ago is that they are assuming that this is a separate species. It's a big assumption because they don't know that. And if I had the time, dedicating the time to a lot of this stuff, it has to do with, time is money. And I can only do so much that's not making money, because this is a big subject. And when you don't have all the fossils that you would like to have to help you see the picture more clearly, you have to look very, very, very closely. And always looking out for the people that are trying to make a name for themselves as far as, I discovered a new species, I named a new species, when they really did not. That's why I make a point, like when I say I want to name the Sasquatch, I want to make sure that it's named correctly, and my thinking is that Sasquatch is Homo sapiens, so I always call it Homo sapiens subspecies Salisburyensis, named after myself, of course. So it's a subspecies, in my view, which can't be proven 100% until we actually have body and DNA and stuff like that. But everyone's assuming this thing is something else, when there's way too much pointing to it's a human. The hooded nose, it's got an upright body plan, it's got a human foot. You put all these together, you got human. And also the behaviorally, even though, it's very elusive, but human tribes have been very elusive. Some human tribes are very elusive, maybe not as elusive as these guys, but the important thing to that, I think, is that they're smart enough to stay a step ahead of us. So they'd have to have some pretty serious brain power going on, and that would be a further indication that they are the same species as us. It's possible there could be a separate species of human that is as intelligent enough to deal with us, or has the right kind of intelligence to avoid us. Maybe they don't have, because there's different aspects of intelligence, and maybe they're lacking in some areas, but they're way better than us in other areas, and that's what's important. The areas that are important to staying a step ahead of us when in the woods. But Yeah. Go back to the chat here. Uncle Bone says that last picture. Yes, that one. Yeah. Yeah. I think the face on that thing probably looked a lot more human than what the facial reconstructionist did to make that image. I think the image is probably inaccurate. Well, we know it's got to be inaccurate because they can't possibly know exactly what it looked like. But the nose, they don't know what the nose looked like. There's no soft tissue, but its relationship to humans based on other morphological characteristics, I think would indicate that we're probably looking at a nose on that thing that looks a little more to the human side than towards the straight up gorilla side, or whatever the heck they were using as their idea of what that nose should look like on that thing. Uncle Bone says Bigfoot have been described with human-like face. Angela says that one looks more chimp-like. Yeah. Yeah. Donald says I'm stopped for a minute. Were you talking about Shagfest? Yes. I believe you coined the term Shagfest to do with Sasquatch, but humans as well, I guess. But yeah, humans are all the time shagging, blah blah blah. I brought up during the Squatch America live stream my hypothesis that Homo sapiens subspecies floresiensis. Floresiensis is the hobbits, right? The little short 3-foot things, which I think were probably bred with the other normal height humans, which was probably a rough deal for a little hobbit lady, but Shagfest. And producing something that was of a height between, a 6-foot and a 3-foot. And you get with these 4.5-foot tall Southeast Asians that we have today. I've worked with these guys. They're very, very small people. They're not as small as a hobbit, but they're way smaller than me, and they're halfway between the size of basically me and a hobbit. So it's not that strange to come to the idea that possibly there was an interbreeding between Floresiensis, the hobbits, and the rest of humanity that produced the Southeast Asian peoples that we have today. So when we're looking at trying to, say, reconstruct the face of a Floresiensis, we probably need to be looking at the facial characteristics, specific characteristics that differentiate Southeast Asians from Caucasians, because the people they bred with were Caucasians. And that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down. But anyway, so the characteristics that differentiate Asians from Caucasians, and then exaggerate those somewhat to get a pretty good approximation of what the Hobbit face actually looked like. So exaggerated Asian features. And I turned off my fan. But yeah, all over the place there was diversions. You had these different races that looked very, very different, but were still the same species. And then they got bred back together at some point, leading us to today. So if they want to understand, like, it'd be nice if they could actually get some intact Hobbit DNA. That probably won't happen, because it ain't like there was an ice flow and some Hobbit fell down a glacier Unless somehow some hobbits wandered up into the Himalayas or something, we could only be so lucky. But and then we have the DNA and make the genetic comparison to the Southeast Asian people and find out that I am probably, as always, correct. and that's what happened to them. They just got blended out. And maybe there's a few of them still around that are pure blood. I don't know. That'd be nice to find out. But and that they're just really elusive too. But some people say they see them, so maybe they're there. What other issues came up there in their live stream? Try to figure out. Hold on a second. Yeah, I mentioned predict. I said once we have the DNA for all of these species, in quotes, that they call species, I predict my hypothesis will be proven correct, and history will record that I destroyed all of mainstream anthropology. Moo ha 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 ha. Yeah. Because they're all the time. Oh, this is a new species. That's a new species. They don't know that. Here's the tree that they showed on the live stream, although it's blurry as hell. I ain't got, for whatever reason, I'm not getting very good resolution here. But see how they come, the branches go out and then it ends. This don't show up very well. This type of, like using an actual tree, that doesn't really show what's going on very well. But anyway, basically what you have is all these terminations where, because of the limited fossils they got and their assumption that these are separate species that had to have ended, that they've drawn it in this way that where there's terminations where they just end. I don't think that's necessarily what happened. Maybe some racial groups did just completely die out, but it wasn't because they couldn't breed back with the rest of humanity. It's just because maybe they were just a few tribes in an isolated region and they just died out for some other reason and didn't have an opportunity to get bred back. Who knows? But I think in the majority of cases, what happened is that vine, that branch grows back into the main branch and they get bred back into the human line. And the more successful genetic traits are the ones that dominate. In the case of Neanderthal, I mean, most of the genetic traits of Neanderthal are gone. We just know that they're like 3 to 4% in a lot of people in the world, primarily European descent people, obviously. So we know they're the same species, but their genetics, there's, I mean, either A, their genetics were not they were out competed. They weren't necessarily the best genetics compared to the other line of humans that they got bred into. Or their numbers were so low compared to the new waves of humans moving in on them that they just kind of got washed out. And it may not have had anything to do with who had the best genes. It just had to do with numbers. might just had to do with numbers. So, looks like Cindy Finn is here. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat. So, let's try to find some other points. It seems like I'm forgetting something, but I could be wrong. Yeah, she mentioned about being a different genus. I'm like, but they just arbitrarily stuck them in a different genus. I mean, yeah, they went off of morphological characteristics, but they assumed that those morphological characteristics could not be just another variation on the human species. They don't actually know that they're a separate genus or even a separate species. They don't know that. What else? Well, talked about the splits and merges. And what else? Cindy says, "How are you, Uncle Bones? Big hugs. Sounds like a storm is starting. You got a storm where you're at? I wouldn't mind a little bit of rain, but I don't think we're going to get it. I'd like for it to cool down. It's not real hot right now. It's 78 degrees, but I want it to be cooler. I don't like 78 degrees. Uncle Bone says, I'm okay today. Thank you, Cindy. Hope you do well. Hear thunder. We need rain. I've been burning off some land and here in sections of land, and I don't necessarily want it to rain for that because it needs to be a little. I'd like for it to be a little drier. A lot of people get nervous burning under conditions that are that dry, but it helps to make sure to get a complete burn of the material on the ground. I don't like leaving behind combustible material simply because it was too damp. It was too damp to burn, and it doesn't completely burn off. It also makes it harder to burn out stumps. So a lot of times I'm trying to burn off stumps below grade so that I can level it off and the grass can grow in. And then later on, when a mower comes over it, it's not going to hit a stump. It's a huge pain in the ass. And so it needs to be drier. But I also want it to cool the hell down. So whatever. Cindy says, yeah, if you have a controlled burn, it's good. Yeah, and that's my thought. It's if ever anyone throws a freaking cigarette off the side of a highway and it comes burning this way, at least there's some segments of the land that all the dead material on the ground has been burned off. And if we did have a fire come through, it would be easier for us to deal with because sections already burned off, effectively forming a fire break. There's way too much land to ever address it all. The only way to do that would be to start around the entire perimeter and get some water trucks, and it'd have to be a huge production because we're talking about a bunch of acres here. So, but so I take my little bites here and there to try and get things under control because all this brush overgrows, and it makes it to where the land that section is useless. Because the cows will force their way up into the trees and stuff, but a lot of it's so overgrown with all these thorny vines and shit, and there's no grass growing in there. They'll nibble on elm tree leaves a little bit, but it's largely useless section of land unless we can thin the trees out, get rid of all the underbrush, and get it to where there's grass on the ground. Thin the trees out enough to where there's grass on the ground. So it's a big task. Take forever to fix it all, but Cindy says, "Oh yeah, when I lived in Texas, the median was always on fire in the summer." Yeah. At some point, every county might as well just hire a couple of guys, give them a truck with a water tank on the back of it, and so they can make sure they don't so they can put shit out if it gets out of control, and just have them go just do controlled burns all the time. That's their entire job. Just burn, and just, and then come around and do it again the next year. And I mean, you can burn all the time, really. It's not really like it's not something that you have to do at a certain time. If you're clearing some brush, you got big brush piles everywhere. You got to burn those off. I burn shit with snow on the ground. You ain't burning the leaves off into those conditions, but you can burn brush piles and stuff. Just gotta get you a little center started with some coal, good hot spot, and it'll start melting off everything and drying it out and heating it up, and it'll ignite. Cindy says, "That's what I thought they should do. We were always under a fire ban." Yeah, it ain't going to do no good because somebody's going to make a mistake. Someone's going to throw a cigarette out. A spark's going to come off of a train, something. Lightning will strike. So the best thing to do is just have you a small crew of guys, and that's what they do. They go around and just burn stuff off. And if you got land to yourself, if you can, try to burn it off. Like my lot where I had this lot. It was about a third of an acre, I think it was. So that's no big deal to burn that off every so often. So that's what I did. And so it knocks down all the small shrubs and trees and stuff, and keeps all that under control, and it gets rid of all the combustible material, so that if there ever is a wildfire that comes through, you're all right, because it's going to stop right at your property line, because that's where you burned up to, presumably. And I showed you guys some video of a Bigfoot running through a controlled burn last year sometime. I think it showed you. I don't know if everybody remembers that or saw that. It was Arms Family Homestead. and he's a guy. He's in Oklahoma here. He's a few hours south of me, or southeast or southwest of me, I think. And he has a, kind of a little farm going there. He's I think he's retired now, highway patrol. And his channel has nothing to do with Bigfoot, but he did a video. He made a video where he was out burning off, because he burns off his land, and there was a Bigfoot running through the smoke. I guess somebody told him that it was there, and he went back and looked, and sure enough, there was a Bigfoot running through the smoke. Let me see if I can. I'll see if I can find it again. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. Hold on. Let me be lined up here. Get things set up. This is what sucks about trying to load stuff up in the middle of a live stream. I don't got the bandwidth, so it takes a little bit to get things going. Uncle Bone says, Oklahoma family farm video. Yes, I remember. Cindy Finn says, hi, Chess. Starting part-time on 28th in October, getting CT scan, MRI before back surgery. I'm fine if I don't overdo. Oops. So here's the video again. Donald says he's back. Where'd you go, Donald? So you see back there in the distance, the Bigfoot's running through the smoke.
Sir. Sir.
So hard to see. But, I think this is a credible sighting,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know.
Lots of fire.
You saw it, guys. You saw it on the video.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's over there. It's on the left side, where you see almost like where the smoke is in the distance there, and you kind of see almost a horizon of the ground. Let me back it up just a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
See him running back there?
Oh, yeah. Lots of fire.
What? All right, guys. You saw it on the video.
Oh, yeah. Lots of fire.
What the heck?
Oh, yeah. Lots of fire.
What the heck?
Oh, yeah. Lots of fire.
What?
Anyway, I think it's a pretty credible situation there. You notice he didn't say anything about portals and cloaking and all that nonsense. Donald says I'm back. Yeah, he's doing a YouTube full time. Cindy said, oh, okay, let me go back here. I missed some stuff. Cindy says, wasn't that on Arms Homestead? I saw the video. Yeah. Arms Family Homestead. He's doing it YouTube full time. Yep. Free Uber services, Donald. You should get paid You should get paid, man. I get paid when I do that particular kind of thing. Not it isn't very much. It ain't enough to live on, but I do get a little bit of money through giving rides. Cindy says physical therapy. I'm starting the 28th. Saw this a while ago. Says I don't. Yep, saw it. Like holy shit. Yeah, because you weren't expecting to see no Bigfoot on Arms Family Homestead. Nobody's watching Arms Family Homestead to see Bigfoot. But holy shit, there it was. Holy shit, there it was. Yeah, I don't know what Bigfoot was doing in the middle of his forest. But, man, we can only guess. We can only guess, I guess. So, I'm trying to think what else. Anything else important in the cryptid stuff happened this week? Cindy Finn says, I think that is legit. Call the hoaxer department. Yeah, I just don't see anyone out there hoaxing him. I don't see him perpetrating the hoax. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, the reality, we have to be honest about the images, though. It's not conclusive. Like, you can't see the figure clearly enough to determine anything. And that's going to be more and more of a problem going forward anyway. But because even if you see video that's really, really, really good, it still could be a dude in a costume. It can make some pretty good costumes. So a video isn't going to prove shit. And, you know, now he described in the video like that thing, his judgment of its size is that it was big, I guess. Because he refers to it as giant creature. He knows his woods, so on and so forth. But who's to say that ain't some crackhead out there? Or maybe it was one of the kids playing around out there and he knew he wasn't supposed to be in the middle of all that and took off running. I can't be certain that that's not what the case is. You know, he's way out in the woods, he's way out in the boondocks, and so there's probably some limitations as to what we were looking at in the video there, but he seemed to think he called it a giant creature in the title of his video. So, and he seems to think it was big. He knows his woods. So we have to hope that his ability to observe based on looking in the video, because he didn't see it while he was filming it. It was in the video, and he saw it later. And so we have to trust that he is able to judge the size of it accurately by looking at it in the video. So we can't be 100% certain here. We just can't. It's not a conclusive situation. And I don't think you would hoax either, Cindy. I don't think you would hoax either. Cindy says medical transportation drivers make bank here and they provide vehicle. think I've applied for stuff like that in the past, and again, no response, and more no responses. So I don't know what the deal is. Has there been nothing this week other than the normal live streams? I already kind of addressed the whole deal that happened on Nikki's show on last Sunday. In the last live stream, but nobody showed up hardly for the last live stream. It was, I think, just a couple of viewers, and no one was chatting. What's Donald saying? Donald says, seems kind of funny. He's got a video like what the other homesteading channel does. What other homesteading channel? I don't know what you're talking about. Is there another homesteading channel that has a Bigfoot video? Cindy says, of course we can't say it's Bigfoot, but another sub told him to check the video again. Yeah. So what if that sub was hiding in the woods and this is all a big conspiracy? But yeah, I agree with you. I don't think Daniel Arms would hoax. Uncle Bone says the Red Circle Homestead, Donald. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, Donald. Donald says, I can't remember the name, but he uses a red circle. Well, all I know is I watched Arms Family Homestead channel for a long time. He never did anything that was anything remotely related to Bigfoot or anything weird like that. It's just really just basic family and farming and goats and all that stuff. Jerk face and and all this stuff. Jerk face is a goat. Anyway, so and he regularly burns off his wood, so it's just this was a normal thing on Arms Family Homestead, and then he ends up going back to this video because a subscriber told him, hey, there's a Bigfoot, and then he made a video talking about this giant creature, and so yeah. So I can't remember the name, but he uses a red circle. Cindy says I don't watch him anymore. Cindy Finn says homesteading off grid. Donald, so does homesteading off grid have a video with a Bigfoot in it? What's the title of it? And was it a one-off? Was it just a one situation, or do they have Bigfoot show up on a regular basis? Do they talk about paranormal stuff at all on their channel? You know, a lot of these things are important because Arms Family Homestead had nothing to do with any of that stuff until this event happened, and then they talked about it and went on, you know. But trying to do a search here. Okay, home setting off grid. Have I seen this guy? I think I've seen this guy. This guy is this that goofball? Oh, for fuck's sake. Is this that goofball? This guy don't count, Donald. This guy does not count. Oh, shit. Cindy Finn says Kevin Lake is an author and it's satire. Yeah, this is a totally different thing. See, look at this goofball he's on already. Yeah, this is a bullshit channel.
Hey guys.
So, what happened? We'll get rid of these guys. Cindy says Kevin Lake is an author and satire. Someone killed Daniel's alpaca male. How could they? Someone wearing sheets. LOL. No Bigfoot. Donald says what I see in his video doesn't look giant. Yeah, that's all I'm saying is I can't tell the size really for sure what I'm looking at in Daniel's video. Daniel Arms video. I have to trust the man that I've seen in that channel for years that I believe is an honest man. So, and I believe he knows his land. And so I have a degree of trust in his assessment that the thing was big. So, because he's the one that was there, he's the one that knows the land. And so that's like us looking at it on a video are not going to be able to make anywhere near as much of an accurate assessment of the size of the thing compared to Daniel. Daniel's going to be the one that knows more than anybody how big that thing was, and he seemed to think it was giant. So, but again, this is still inconclusive, right? Because we don't know anything for sure. You know, as honest as I may believe him to be, he could be mistaken still. And even if he isn't mistaken, it's still just it's not even a sighting. He didn't see it with his own two eyes. He saw it on the video after the fact. So it really doesn't constitute any real evidence. But it's an interesting situation, though, because he don't know, what it is. But something's out there running through his trees, and it looks shaped like a human or Sasquatch. Cindy says he writes spooky books. He's rich off his enterprises. Get my six. Yeah, get my six. Yeah, he always says get my six. Donald says I can look at the Patty movie and see she is bigger than the average human. Yeah, I think so. I think some people can make that assessment based on the PG film. But I wouldn't trust anybody to make that assessment, though, because a lot of people they just don't have good size estimating ability, and you obviously couldn't be too precise because, well, you just can't. So, Donald, did you happen to catch the replay on my last live stream, the last random live I did? Because I was having some I was having some issues with the way Steve Coles was going at Pat. Donald says the critter I saw wasn't giant. You mean your Bigfoot sighting? It wasn't. When you say it wasn't giant, do you mean it wasn't over 6 feet tall? Cindy says, I trust Daniel. He has never gave me a reason to distrust him, and he never said it was Bigfoot. Yeah, he just called, the title of the video was Giant Creature, and, you know, he was talking about Black Panthers and stuff like that in the video, so, you know, I don't know. He's just thinking, like, he's just a small-time rancher out there, and that video was a real curveball for his channel. So last Sunday, it wasn't on Nikki's show. It was on Cole's show. Pat appeared to me to just be stating his opinion. And Coles and what's his nuts on there kept referring to him as a troll. Pat wasn't being a troll. He was just stating his opinion. And after, you know, they had said that everyone should have their opinion, and then they get all bent out of shape because Pat has his opinion different than his and starts calling him a troll. Donald says, I didn't even know you did one, but yeah, Coles was being a biatch. But there's been heat between the two of them for a while. Cindy says, Donald, you know how I feel. I was pissed. Donald says, Cindy, I have to watch more of Arms Family. Yeah, it's a good wholesome channel, you know. They try to keep it clean and stuff like that for people that like things keep it clean. But yeah, they were calling him a troll. Coles was coming in hot on Pat. Sometimes Pat comes in a little hot, but not that hot, you know. And Pat's just disagreeing, and they're calling him a troll. And what else did they say? There was something else that really bent me out of shape. Oh, he said, you used to respect me. Man, that, to me, I smelled the cop all over that, what he was coming out of his mouth at the moment. You know, he used to respect what I said or something like that. Cops think in terms of that whole, they go right to this respect thing because it's something a lot of these cops have struggled, because as a person, they've struggled to get respect from people their whole lives because they didn't deserve respect, because they're bad people. I don't know if Coles is. I don't know that. But what I'm saying is for a lot of cops, this is what's going on. And so they get that badge and they get that uniform and they get that artificial respect, because now everybody has to respect them, whether they deserve it or not. And these cops, they get this whole thing where you know, you gotta respect. You're gonna respect my authority. They're just like fucking Cartman, man. And so when he used that word respect, talking about Pat, when Pat was just expressing his opinions in the chat, and they happened to disagree with what Coles was saying. Now, that does Pat come off a little what's the word? I don't know what word I'm looking for, but a little bit aggressive, not really aggressive, but because sometimes two people communicate different ways, and so you got to watch out for that. And I do feel that maybe Pat does communicate a little differently than other people are used to dealing with, and it sounds like he's just being a complete asshole, but he's not meaning to be. He'd just be in North Georgia. But or he's just, but anyway, and I might be I might have a little bias because I was already having a little bit of an issue with the way Coles does things and certain things about him. So, but he was going off on Pat and Pat ended up leaving the chat. And I saw no reason for him to go nuts on Pat like he did. And his partner, I forget the guy's name, the co-host there, seemed to be trying to calm Coles down a little bit and chill things out a little bit. So at least he was doing that. But this is the first time I've watched Cole's show in a long time. It was the first time I watched Nikki's show in a long time. It was just because Tall Ones, Brent was going on there to talk about that whole deal, mentioning Patrick Bond and stuff like that. But yeah, so after my experience last Sunday, I don't think I'll be visiting Cole's show again this Sunday. So I'm hoping Pat gets back to doing live streams a little more regular. Maybe, it seems like he feels like he needs to have a guest to kind of bounce off of other than, just, talking about a subject. Sometimes he does just talk about a subject, but he seems to, I don't know what the thing is like, because a lot of times I feel like if he were to talk to the chat more directly like I do, it would help him help the flow of his live stream sometimes. But he's been live streaming. We got Coles every week. We got these other people every week, a bunch of them that I have completely abandoned. I don't watch anymore because I'm sick of the bullshit. I'm just sick of the bullshit. And so, Pat's quit his show. It looks like we're about to lose Satch. And I'm running out of options here. We've got Squatch America 1 hour on Wednesdays, and that's and the Bigfoot community is getting really lean, and because that's all I watch anymore, really. Satch, Squatch America, and if Pat's on, I'll watch Pat. That's it. Donald says I didn't even know you did one, but yeah, Coles. Well, I notified everybody on the YouTube group and email, and it seemed like nobody got notified or something, even through my direct notification methods. It's kind of weird. Cindy says, Donald, you know how I feel. I was pissed. About how Coles was being. Donald says, Cindy, I have to watch more Arms Family. Donald, they're nice people, says Cindy. Yes, Steve was out of line for sure, says Donald. Cindy says, I don't watch Coles either. He isn't a cool kid. Donald says, I lost some faith with Coles after he let Bekchokchin come on twice with his bullshit. And the fact he never sent us the books we won on his giveaway show. Donald says, yes, Chris was trying to throw some water on Coles. Yeah. But even though he was doing that, he was still using the word troll to describe Pat. And Pat's not a troll. He was just expressing his opinion. So why are they calling him a troll? A troll is a completely different thing than a regular viewer in your chat who's expressing his opinion that just happens to disagree with yours. So I don't know what the hell I was watching last week, but Cindy says, well, on Sasquatch Secrets, Cole's used rule of law. There's a click. Yeah. Well, I mean, in Sasquatch Secrets, I mean, there's a whole nother deal there, you know. We have an issue. We have an issue because it looks like the people that went to the Mogollon Rim who got lost were mistaken about what they were seeing. It was turning into the story of something fantastical to happen, but the images that they showed, the video and all that stuff, did not show what they were claiming to see. What I saw was a trick of light and shadow. And if I were ever to put some time in it, I could easily demonstrate what the hell was going on there, and that they were mistaken. There was nothing there. And but because I said this, it ain't like I'm trying to attack these people. I'm just saying they were mistaken. They got spooked. There's a number of things I said. One of them is when you change altitude in that short a period of time, it's going to create some disorientation. It's going to create some oxygen issues. Just from making a long drive, you're going to be really tired and weary. And then you get lost and you start getting a little freaked out. And then you start thinking you're seeing something that isn't there. And it happens. I'm not trying to attack these people. But what happened? A live stream was conducted that attacked me for saying anything about it. Mogs and Nikki. How dare I? And so Nikki's here, supposed to be a channel where she's busting up all the hoaxers and all that stuff, and supposedly being someone who is got her bias under control and can think, logically and objectively. And she lost all objectivity in that situation because it was her friends. So, maybe she should rename the channel Objective Except When It's My Friends. Sorry, but I didn't do anything to deserve the live stream attack. We're supposed to call these things as we see them, and that's what I saw. That's what a lot of other people said. Just because some people aren't going to be as outspoken about it as I will. The fact is if we want to get to the truth of these things, we have to be willing to address when someone has been mistaken in a situation like the rim situation, where as I just described it, you need to be willing to accept that explanation that makes sense, and that's the one that makes sense. And instead of there were some kind of entities, and the video didn't show entities at all. So, are you on the woo side of things, or are you on the side that's going to, is going to use critical thinking? What does the evidence actually show? Logical reasoning, Occam's razor, for that matter. There was a time when we had shows every night of the week. Yeah, it's really getting lean. It's not that there isn't shows out there. It's just that they're either bullshit or they're biased or some other kind of problem. Yeah, Sean, something to Sasquatch about. Yeah, he ought to come back on. He's pretty cool, calm, and collected dude. He'd have The tall ones come on. Brent, come on to talk. That's a good selection. Cindy Finn says, I get tired of the bullshit too, and I won't watch Nikki again, says Cindy. Donald says, I think I was having a hard time that night. You were having a hard time during Cole's show? Cindy says, I watched Pat, and honestly, I know why Pat is on shit list. Donald says, because Nikki thinks he's riding her coattails, Cindy. Nikki thinks... Nikki thinks Pat is riding her coattails? What? Pat's had his channel before hers. Pat had his channel before her. He started his channel long before she started hers, as I recall. Cindy says the thing with the last conference, a comment was made only the cool kids would be invited back. Bingo, Donald, says Cindy. Cindy says the heat could have done it and altitude. Yeah, I mean, there's just a whole these different factors. You got changes in oxygen concentration due to the thin air. You got changes in atmospheric pressure. You have changes in temperature, changes in even the humidity levels. If you're not used to it, it could affect you to some degree. The long ass mind-numbing drive all the way from Florida. I mean, all these factors add up to you might start seeing some shit if you get lost in the middle of nowhere. You don't know where you're at. You hear gunshots. You are freaked. You might start seeing shit. Donald says, yeah, that pissed me off. They were only wanting certain people at that get-together. Cindy says, so I don't need them, and I told Nikki how I feel in comments. Cindy says, the clique won't call each other out like happened with Patrick Vaughn. Donald says, Nikki used to defend them goofs at Squatch Watchers, but she finally figured out they're not legit. The night you did a show. Oh, wait, let me go back here. You having a hard time the night I did the... Yeah, that's going to be the last random live I can do for September, by the way, because I am out of time. And I've got to shut this one down right now so that we have enough time for 2 hours or just shy of 2 hours next Saturday. So thank you all for coming. And got about 9 people watch on Rumble. Hopefully we can get on YouTube again and live stream to both. But anyway, thank you everybody for coming, and I will see you next Saturday.